Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we are working on putting in some at least placeholder graphics so that we can see what's going on with our map generation, which is nearly complete at this point. So we still do need a warehouse, a mall, a storefront for the commercial area, and a factory, a brewery, and a utility for the industrial area. Now I'm going to go ahead and just reuse the plant prefab for factory. For storefront, I'm going to go ahead and reuse store. That'll be fine. And then for mall, I have no idea what I'm going to do. That's going to get exciting. Warehouse, the same thing. I don't know yet. Brewery, utility. I mean, we could just use other placeholders for this. Like, we could have the barn be a stand-in for a brewery. We could have the we could have the plant be a stand-in for the utility, but we're using the plant for the factory. We could have the store be a stand-in for the utility. And then for the mall, we could have the oh boy, I have no idea. But I mean, we can use some of these meshes as stand-ins. It's not a problem. I think I'm gonna go ahead and create a mall one though. So let's just go ahead and save as, and we're going to save this as mall.blend. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and delete this tree. There we go. And we can delete this as well. I'm going to just create a really, really, really fast thing here. Like, it's going to be incredibly fast. So I'm going to just put in a couple of edge loops. I'm going to delete these faces. And I guess this mall is U-shaped. Okay, I'm going to extrude this out this direction. This is kind of the entrance. So we'll go ahead and do something like that. Delete this face here. And these vertices will go down to a Z of 0. Okay. Something kind of along the lines of this. And actually, I'm going to extrude, or actually, you know what? I'm going to put an edge loop here, and I'm just going to mirror this. So I'm going to mirror modifier across the y-axis. There we go. And then these here can go directly flush over to a y value of 0. There we go. I'm actually going to mirror it across both axes here. There we go. That can be a mall. Why not? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make our UV maps. So let's go ahead and do that. This is the UV map normals. And go ahead and cube projection. And then our regular UV map here. I'm going to do an unwrap and then place this here. And then I'm just going to make this all be concrete colored, I guess. Nah, I'll make it like wood colored so that it stands out a little bit. It's kind of monochrome. I mean, I could add in a little bit of visual interest up here by doing something kind of like that. Sure, why not? That'll do. Okay, so there's a mall. Very basic mall. Again, I'm not trying to make these things pretty right now. I'm just trying to rapidly crank this out so that we actually have something to look at and to evaluate what's going on with. So, like, we've got a lot of issues in general with this. This does not actually have an empty for it. So let's go ahead and make one. And I'm going to paste component values. We'll place this at 0, 0, 0. There we go. Let's see if we can see it. It's kind of an awkward position, isn't it? Why is it there? It's just that the mall is bigger than it should be, I think. Yeah, the mall is just bigger than it should be. So let's go ahead and scale it on down. So I'm going to scale this down. Actually, I need to go ahead and scale it here and then apply it. I'm going to scale it down by half. So let's go ahead and apply that scale. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so building mall. Let's go ahead and put in our commercial. There we go, building mall into the commercial. Excellent. And put it into here. And then all we need is the warehouse. I mean, a warehouse is basically a big box with like a parking area. So let's go ahead and save this as warehouse. Delete this. Create ourselves a plane. Place it at 0, 0, 0. And I don't actually want it to be this size. I'm going to scale it down by half. Place this off to the side a little bit. Extrude it up about 0.25. Then over here, actually let's go ahead and put in a pair of edge loops. I would like to move these along about 0.3 in edge slide mode and negative 0.3. And this would be like the loading and unloading depot. So we'll go ahead and scale this down after extruding it by about 0.5. Nope. About 0.25. By that I mean 0.75. Oh boy. Oh, I'm getting tired. Scale 0.75. No. Extrude. Scale 0.75. Okay. I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to put in a loop cut here so that I don't have to worry about this. And just go ahead and delete all of this and put in a mirror modifier. Okay. So like I said, I'm mostly just trying to do this very, very quickly. So I just want to get these done so that we can have a visual representation. And that way, we can delete this face. And that way we can very, very easily just see what's going on. I'm going to extrude this in a little bit. And that's basically our warehouse. We do not need this edge, though. Okay. Don't need this edge either, technically. Or technically this edge. Or technically this edge. I feel like there are some others we don't need either. But I think this is fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and extrude this up about another 0.25. So that's our warehouse. Let's see if our size is good. It appears to be close to good. I'm going to go ahead and scale it down a little bit and apply that scale. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our UVing here. Put in our UV maps. UV map, normal, and unwrap, cube projection, and then UV map, just unwrap. And again, let's make the whole thing be concrete colored. I'm losing steam on this whole art thing. But mostly because at this stage, I don't particularly care. I just want it to be good enough that we can see what's going on. But I'm going to add a little bit of detail up here. Kind of like that. That'll be fine. Okay. So we are using we have a fair amount of asset reuse here, and we'll have to remember that. But I'm going to go ahead and create an empty here, call it building warehouse. Place it up here. Make sure it's at 0, 0, 0. There we go. Copy this in. Paste component values. And there we go. We've got ourselves a really crappy looking warehouse. Fantastic. There. Pretty much exactly what I was looking for. Just some really, really fast stuff there. This is a commercial building, so I'm going to go ahead and place this here. Delete this, and now we can copy in there. And now we don't have any placeholders, even though we have some reuse. So if we run this, we can see that we now have ourselves some fully generating biomes in the commercial, as well as in the industrial, and the residential. Excellent. Now I think the next thing to add is probably going to be some UI elements. So let's go ahead and add ourselves in a UI canvas. There we go. And by default, the canvas is a screen space overlay. Like that. That's okay. For now, that'll work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and within this, I'm going to create a UI image. And this image is going to pretty much just be a rectangle for right now. I'm going to make this image be a bit transparent, about halfway transparent, like so. And then I'm also going to make it be black. And then I'm going to add a component, outline. This outline is actually going to be white. Oh yeah, that's right. That's how that works. Oh, I forgot about that. So, the problem here is that we can add an outline to it, but it's going to add it to the whole thing rather than just outlining. So I'm just going to remove that for now. We will probably come back to this. But for now, I'm just going to use a background sliced. We are going to fill the center. No need to raycast this target. And this is going to be our tooltip. Okay. So the tooltip is eventually probably going to be variable size, and we're going to fill it with all sorts of fancy things. But for right now, that's not going to be the case. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and make it be a set size, and that size is going to be, I don't know, maybe, well, for one thing, we want to set it top left, and that size is probably going to be about 250 by 150 for right now. Again, this will change. I just want to check here. There's our tooltip. Perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of content to it. So let's add a UI Text Mesh Pro text. Now, a Text Mesh Pro text is significantly different from a standard Unity text, and we're just going to go ahead and import the TMP essentials. TMP is nowadays included in Unity, and we're not going to be doing anything with our own custom fonts right now or anything. We'll deal with that later. For right now, I'm just going to make this text box be about the size of the actual... Actually, I'm going to make this be 225 by 125. The text box itself should be the same. So, actually, I'm going to delete this and start this over. UI Text Mesh Pro text. And it's going to be 225 by 125. Okay. And then we're not going to have it saying new text, but this sharpness of the text here, look how sharp it is even when we zoom way, way in. That's the reason why we're using Text Mesh Pro. The Unity built-in text is not so great, but Text Mesh Pro is now included in Unity, so this is fine. I'm just going to call this tooltip title. And actually, I'm going to put this in brackets here. tooltip title, and then a line here, and then tooltip content. Okay, so obviously a font size of 36 is a little much. I'm gonna need to see here, but 23 is still a bit much. Maybe around 12. And let's see how much space we have available. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into our scripts here, and I'm going to create a new folder, and this is going to be UI. And now I'm going to create a C# script, tooltip. Now this tooltip script, all it's going to do pretty much is move the tooltip to be at the mouse position. As soon as Visual Studio loads up, there we go. Now one thing we're definitely going to want to do is using UnityEngine.ui. Without that, we won't have access to the classes we're going to need. So start and update. I mean, we probably don't need start, but we'll need an update. So the first thing I want to put in here is something along the lines of bool lock tooltip equals false. So if we want to lock it to a position, I want to have that ability, but and also let's make that public. Public bool lock tooltip equals false. And then public vector3 tooltip locked position. And we'll be able to set that. And then otherwise, if it's not locked, it'll be floating and it'll be based on the position of the mouse, which I think should be the default behavior of this. So let's just say public vector3 mouse offset, and we'll set that later on. Well, actually, let's set that right now-ish. Okay, so the tooltip is currently set so that it is top left anchor. Let's set the pivot as well to be an X of 0 and a Y of 1, so top left. So the pivot point is now here, which means, I believe, if we were to rotate this along this axis, yep, you can see it pivots right here. So this is the anchor point for us. Okay, so with that being the case, we need to set our position based on the current mouse position and the mouse offset. So let's, first things first, get the mouse position. So vector2 mouse pose equals input.mouse position. Okay, so we've got the mouse position. Now we need to convert it to screen space. Right? I believe so. That's going to be exciting. I don't remember how to do that. Well, first, let's just let's make a new variable, vector3 corrected mouse position. There we go. And for right now, we're going to say that this is equal to vector3.0. And then let's just go ahead and say that rect transform. Oh yeah, we need a reference to our rect transform. So let's go ahead and create that. Public rect transform. So with access to that, we can then say rect transform dot anchored position equals corrected mouse position. Now all that's going to do is set it to a position of 0 right now, based on our canvas's scaling and all of that fun stuff. So that's why we're going to need to convert the mouse position to the screen space overlay position, but we don't actually have the tooltip doing anything right now because we've not assigned the tooltip script. So there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that the mouse offset for now is going to be 25 by 25 pixels, and we will assign it its own rect transform. Okay, so now it should just set it to the 0 position, wherever that is. Top left. Okay. Now, I want to show you something, why we're going to have to scale this. So if we didn't use corrected mouse position, we could just say equals mouse pose plus mouse offset. Now, of course, mouse pose is a vector 2, so we could convert this over to a vector 3 easily enough. And let's just see if this works. Actually, it might. It's screen space overlay. It's gonna have some wonky scaling, I think. Oh yeah, I have no idea where this thing is. Where are you? Way off screen. Oh, yep, that's pretty much exactly where I thought it would be. We need to drop the position of the tooltip incredibly substantially. Like, it needs to be at basically a position of 0, rather than a position of 1028. So we need to convert this over, and I have entirely forgotten how to do that. So let me just look that up real quick. So my search terms are Unity. Actually, let me just pull this on over here, like so. So this would be, my search terms here would be Unity, and it would be, let's see, what am I looking for? Mouse pose to screen space. Screen to viewport point. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so transforms position from screen space into viewport space. Screen space is defined in pixels. Wait, no, this is viewport space. I need to mouse position to canvas. This is what I need. So this is an overlay camera here. Image.transform equals image.input.mouse position. What are they doing there? So you might, however, have to transform the mouse coordinates from world space to get the 2D position through the camera of screen space camera canvas. Yeah. So transform.position equals camera.main.screen to world point. Okay. So rect_transform.anchored position would then be our screen point, which is basically just our mouse position, or rather our corrected mouse position. So then we could just, let's try this. Camera.main.screen to world point. I always forget how to do these conversions, and it always makes me sad. Let's see. Null reference exceptions. In line 21. Why am I getting a null reference exception here? We've set the rect transform. Is it not getting us a camera.main? Let's try just declaring the camera and then setting it in the inspector. Maybe that'll work? I mean, it... Whoa. The tooltip is only working when the camera moves, not when the mouse moves. The tooltip is moving. I mean, that would be handy for a mini-map, for example, but this isn't working correctly. But of course it isn't. I mean, it kind of depends on our canvas scaler, right? That's my understanding. I used to know how to do this, and I've completely forgotten. Let's see, we are on constant pixel size. We can have it scale with screen size, 1920 by 1080 as a default. And we are in screen space overlay. Oh, there it is. It's just offset. And I think scaling a little bit weird. Yeah, it's scaling a little bit weird. Well, in part that's because we have our canvas set up in a kind of weird way, right? So what if we had this... Oh, we can't actually set the Rex transform stuff? Okay, I guess that's fair. So if we have this at a position of 0, 0, 0, that's right here. However, I believe the mouse coordinates are 0, 0 is down here. So what if we set this to be the same thing? Actually, 0, 1, and then the anchor being down here. Yeah. I think that's what we needed to do. Maybe. Kind of. The horizontal value is still not scaling correctly, nor is the vertical value. But it's about right. Pretty close, I guess. Close-ish. Okay, what if we place it at 0, 0, and then do the offset in our mouse offset? So let's get up here where we can see a little bit better. Yeah, it's definitely still not scaling correctly. Absolutely not. Well, it is time for me to put a cut in here, so I'm going to do that, and next episode, we'll see if we can figure out how to get that scaling correctly. See you all then.